All right, welcome to another edition of Vegas Bad Boys of Podcasting. I'm DJ Impact. We got Simon Street over there, Sin City Steve, and we got Matt Michaels. Welcome to 3 Count. We got 3 good topics for you, and we welcome you to join in. We're always live on YouTube, Twitch, and Facebook Live, and we make sure you put any comments in the chat box, and we'll try to get it in as we see it. All right, let's get right into it. Fellas, it's time. Vegas Bad Boys of Podcasting present
1, 2, 3.
Count Talk.
Count Talk, baby.
All right, here's Count 1.
1.
And that is the report that Warner Brothers Discovery pitched expanding AEW pay-per-view schedule. This is from WrestleZone.com. All right, so this is how it reads. It says the AEW could potentially add pay-per-views to its schedule in the future. It initially held AEW Revolution, Double or Nothing, All Out, Full Gear as their yearly pay-per-views. They already started to add to their pay-per-view schedule. Forbidden Door joined the schedule in 2022, and the company is set to hold AEW All in London at Wembley Stadium in August. Now, Sean Ross Sapp of Fulfa Select reports that Warner Brothers Discovery sources confirmed that they propose significantly expanding AEW's pay-per-view schedule with the, quote, very likely possible, end quote, that the lineup will extend potentially to 1 event per month. Now, Sapp wrote that Warner Brothers Discovery has wanted this outcome, and now it has been discussed. And in the report, Sapp wrote that it's unclear whether these events would be standalone pay-per-views or if they would be part of a potential max streaming deal. Per Sapp, nothing has been finalized and it could change, but the two sides have discussed the schedule. Now, in another report, Sapp stated that AEW and Warner Brothers Discovery have been in talks for months regarding the extensions of the television rights deal. Sources believe that an announcement of a deal could be made this summer or fall. Per Sapp, Warner Brothers Discovery sources have been very happy with AEW, particularly with the company's flexibility when it comes to content and dealing with preemptions. Now, Sapp wrote that the broadcast of AEW All In has been discussed as part of these talks, and Warner Brothers Discovery source noted that the deal would be a huge quote, a huge money increase for AEW, end quote, at least based on the way things look right now. All right. This is very interesting. Sin City Steve, extending out the pay-per-views, kind of beginning to look like a another promotion I'm familiar with. What's your take?
I know, man. It's pretty crazy, right? So, as it sits right now, there are 5 pay-per-view events on the calendar for, or excuse me, 4, and then Forbidden Door. So, you've got the ones that were mentioned in the article, and then obviously their co-promotion with Forbidden Door. This year, obviously doing All In on top of that, right there, you're at your 6. So yeah, get used to, if this is true, and Sean Ross Sapp is very reliable. He's not just some random guy trying to make a name for himself. He's pretty credible with the things that he puts on Fightful. And I think that one of the things that AEW suffers from is they don't have a good grasp on long-term storytelling that actually keeps viewers entertained. And what I mean by that is, if you'll notice, the build starts for an AEW pay-per-view the month before the pay-per-view actually happens. So essentially, if you've got 2 months between shows, you have pay-per-view, and then you have a dead month where nothing really of note typically happens. Mm-hmm. No storylines get progressed. It's kind of spinning wheels. So, I think that this could be a good move. Now, obviously, they need to get something figured out in terms of a pay-per-view deal, because BR Live is absolute dog shit. And I don't know of anybody that actually wants to deal with BR Live 12 plus times a year. Mm-hmm. So they need to get things straightened out on that end. Fuck it. We've talked all this stuff and it's been rumored about All In going on Max. Okay, why not? Why not start there? They have to get something figured out. I know I've said it numerous times, but yeah, I'm completely all for this as long as they get a different pay-per-view provider. And $50 a month for an AEW pay-per-view, a bit steep.
Yeah, I mean, we have to be rich like Simon Street, who was able to pay for these $50. What's your take, man? Because
he doesn't pay. Come on.
I mean, hey, I mean these are more pay-per-view events, Simon Street. What's your take? You all for it, or you're like, man, what they have right now, they should just keep?
I think it's always, the conversation needs to be had and open up possibilities. Do I think based on what we read, yeah, it looks promising, but is it something that's a bargain for everybody? Whenever you have these type of deals and you're looking to make profit, you have to look at what's the problem, what's the need, and how can we make money off of providing a solution. And so kind of just skimming through this article, the beginning steps are there, right? There's obviously been conversations. And I'm going to, kind of say something that, John kind of said in the chat. He said, I'd prefer to go to the theater instead. And even though I haven't had a chance to go there yet, that seems more promising for me to do that based on where this is right now. Because my thing is like this. If they do a whole streaming deal, blah, 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 and it goes with Max, right? That could be promising. But what does that look like? Because if you up my Max subscription for AEW pay-per-views, now I'm going to put a little hot coal under AEW's ass to have some good quality pay-per-views. And it goes back to what Sin City said. You really have got to invest in the long-term storylines to make sure that you are really making that promise to where people are like, oh, man, I'm glad I got Max, man, because I'm going to watch that upcoming, AEW pay-per-view. And so there's a lot to be said. AEW is going to have to continue to improve. I think they know the writing on the wall where they need to improve at. And if this deal does go through for the not so rich Simon Street, they're going to get my money if I don't mind spending the gas money to go eventually one day and go watch an AEW pay-per-view with Sin City in a movie theater.
Mm-hmm.
That's the best experience for them.
Yeah.
Gotcha. All right. Let me ask you, man, Michaels, what do you think would be better for them if they had a standalone pay-per-view, or if it was with a Max streaming deal? What would benefit them, you think, better, or either or?
So there's a couple things here that are questions that very interesting because we don't know, right? We honestly don't know the real numbers of the pay-per-view returns, right? They don't have to disclose them. That's all private. So the idea of how much are they actually making from the pay-per-views? Now, of course, I'm joking about not paying for the pay-per-views, but we know that a majority of that wrestling fan base does not pay for their pay-per-views. Mm-hmm. So you're already losing that out. If you can get people to buy into Max, in which you already don't have a subscription, so you're making new subscribers by doing this, then it makes all the sense in the world. Mm-hmm. That's as simple as that.
Yeah.
That essentially is why Peacock put out big fucking money for the WWE, is right. Because if you took away that viewership from the WWE, Peacock gone.
Yep, because I'll be like,
mm-hmm.
Yep,
yeah, we'd all take our pee and run and leave the cock behind. So
sounds like a bad sour taste in somebody's mouth.
It is a horrible sour taste in a mouth. And so, and personally, that the only thing that makes sense here is to merge both companies and have a Max cock.
Well, there you go.
You know what the sad thing? If there was a Max cock, they're going to relaunch the Kardashians. They're going to have a new home.
Well, that's all the Kardashians have ever gone for is Max cock, and so that's the only streaming platform they'd ever lay down for.
Well, that sounds like a black deal.
It might
Well,
be.
that went sideways.
It might be. We know it's not a black box, which is how you get your pay-per-views illegally.
Well,
I normally
I tell
don't.
you what, it would go deep. It definitely would go ocean deep.
We never ring this to the end, but we're gonna go ahead and this is another one. Just to make there you go. Woo.
You need to get a gavel sound. Order in the court. Order in the court.
Oh my Lord. All right, let's get to our second count. Yeah.
And if they merged with Showtime, it would be Showtime for the Max Cock.
Man, now that sounds wet.
Oh, it stars. It stars the Max Cock right there.
But is it a 5-star? Let's ask Meltzer. He might have experience.
All right. I think y'all done, right?
We're done, Dad. I'm sorry.
Gotta put these guys on punishment sometime. All right.
Because Tony Khan loves the Max Cock. I'll tell you right now.
Especially when you sprinkle it with white powder. It's like a ganache with powdered sugar.
All right. AEW bans multiple moves and requires company approval for others. You both should just go sit in the corner. And this me and Steve would take care of the rest of the show.
No, we actually want to have people, continue to listen.
That's true.
If yeah. We need them.
That is true. That is true. All right. Let me get into that. All right. This is from tgrwrestling.net. And it says that that AEW's in-ring product seems to be in store for major changes as the company attempts to protect both of its wrestlers and fans. Now, according to a report from Fightful Select, AEW is making sweeping changes when it comes to its in-ring presentation. The company is often criticized for allowing risky moves in the ring as well as its liberal use of blood in matches. Now, Fightful Select does note that while many people in the company have confirmed the list as legitimate, there were also talented who said they hadn't yet seen the document. Now, the report notes that these protocols were developed by AEW's media team, coaches, and referees to, quote, help protect talent, staff, crews, and fans, end quote. The document obtained by Fightful stated that while wrestling always carries a certain amount of risk, the company wants to minimize that risk without hampering the creativity of its performers. So Fightful reports that the following have been banned by AEW when it comes to in-ring action: unprotected chair shots to the head, shots to the back of the head, buckle bombs and blind moves backwards into the turnbuckle, fencing responses like unnatural positions of arms following a concussion, seizures, sales, spitting, bleeding in the crowd, weapons or projectiles in the crowd, taking drinks or food from guests in the crowd, or physical contact with the crowd. Nothing with blood on it should be thrown into the crowd. Now, the list comes shortly after Bryan Danielson used a Caesar-like sell in this match with Kazuchika Okada at AEW New Japan Forbidden Door. Meanwhile, Jon Moxley is known to go into the crowd while covered in blood, and MJF often makes waves with his interactions with the crowd. And MJF recently came under fire when he threw a drink on a child, something the list expressly bans. Now, just quickly, right quick, the Wrestling Observer Figure 4 online, it did mention that Kenny Omega says critics of the Tiger Driver 91 spot just want to put a dark mark on that match. Quote, don't tell me not to wrestle the way I know how to wrestle. End quote, Omega said. Wow. Well, Matt Michaels, what is your take, man? There finally some rules are in place. We finally can get this business to start acting like a business. What's your take, man?
Well, it's interesting because I think that it comes down to the idea of backlash, right? You're finally putting them in a position where it's not necessarily about their fan base, right? It's about the perception of the company because it's outside picking up on it. And I think that that's where the problem comes in. And at the same time, we were just talking about the potential max deal, right? Of doing some kind of subscription thing. So if you do that, you really are now kind of hand in hand with a corporate deal. And we can say WWE, right? We know that if SmackDown, if Fox said, "Hey, we want massive bloodletting," WWE would have to do it because they got so much money from them. So it's just one of those things where I think that don't be fooled by this. John Moxley is not going to have to run shit by anyone. He's going to do what he wants to do. Jericho, same thing. These guys who are on that level, the Bucks, Omega. I mean, Omega basically came out and said it. Like,
Right.
Don't say shit about what I'm doing because I'm the wrestler. Who fucking cares? So it's more so a company look to put that out there, the documents out there. And if anyone does anything and someone then asks the question, why was this done? Then all you have to say was, oh yeah, no, Mox asked. So we said, yeah, this fits in the story. So go ahead. So, it's 50% protection, 50% bullshit, 50%, covering their ass, 50%, there's a lot of 50% here.
You're up to 200% right now. So
again, it's a lot of that white Christmas snow coming down, and the math makes sense to me.
I got you. Hey, Sin City Steve, man, you think this would be something that they will enforce, or kind of like the way Michaels was just saying, hey, I mean, they got something there, but these guys gonna kind of do whatever they want to do anyway. And what's your take?
So honestly, I think that John actually did mention this in the chat, and I appreciate him kind of connecting the dots a bit. He says this article reads as if the writing is on the wall to AEW acquiring a new cable/streaming rights deal, and these are the terms by the company who's fronting the bill. Money talks and bullshit walks, so TK will now be listening to his higher power, and that will be fronting the bill. I completely agree. I think that this is one of the steps that they had to take in order to get an over-the-top streaming presence on Max. Mm-hmm. So I think that it's very funny that while these news stories, counts 1 and 2, are just that, separate news stories, they can all feed into a narrative where it allows you to connect the dots, and it really does show how everything can be connected, even if you don't think it is right up front.
Right.
I think that it is good to have rules of the road. Now, ultimately, yes, if this is an edict that came down from Warner Brothers Discovery, then I think that, Mox and Omega they're probably going to have to abide by these things. Otherwise, yeah, they're going to have to face some sort of repercussions. Ultimately, if this is just an in-house memo, like what you had mentioned, then of course, then they just have to have these things up just so that they're not liable in the event of whatever goes awry. I think that spots like the Tiger Driver 91 spot, to get into Kenny's point and his comment, at the end of the day, he has to make that determination on whether or not the risk is worth it. I do not want to see a Tiger Driver 91 on a weekly show. I do not want to see head drops on just a random episode of any kind of TV show. I'm not a fan of that. This was a quote unquote dream match. And quite frankly, the last time that Omega and Ospreay got in the ring together, it was the match of the year for 2023. I think that they set a bar that was exceptionally high for themselves, and they almost felt like the only way to actually exceed what they did in the first match was to build in a spot that would keep people talking, such as what they did with the Tiger Driver 91 spot. I just hope that they don't do anything as dumb, and that's by me saying it, or that has such a high risk in their third inevitable match.
Yeah. I mean, Simon Street, listen, I mean, there's been rules in place for WWE for some time, and look like the guys do a pretty good job with maintaining, staying within those guidelines. And no one's come out saying, hey, you know, you can't teach me how to wrestle. So it's pretty interesting to see kind of, you know, where kind of some of the voices are going towards what AEW is putting into place. Do you think this is really going to be a issue for the talent, or do you think they will just abide like any other corporation put a rule in place, or like WWE have, and they're actually doing it, no one complaining? You think it's going to be that easy?
Well, with regards to what Kenny said, he's saying that now, but at the end of the day, first and foremost, he just letting off steam. He's a way more accomplished and veteran wrestler, worker. So you can't bet your bread and butter on the Tiger Driver. You see what I'm saying? Your move repertoire set is way bigger than that, and the presence you bring to this industry is way bigger than that. So I know you just upset, bro. I understand it. I'm gonna put it in the context for all of us. And yeah, well said. Rest in peace to the wild days of AEW. I call that the mismanaged era of Coke. A lot of things are gonna be changing around AEW, because at the end of the day, when somebody cutting that real big check, you gotta follow in line. Same thing for us, y'all. Don't get me wrong. I love saying motherfuck, fuck all y'all, fuck this, fuck that. You a bitch, you a bitch. But if someone roll up to the Vegas Bad Boys and want to cut that big check, look. Simon Street ain't got no problem with following the rules. And it ain't just because of the money, it's because it's an opportunity to elevate. Do you see what I'm saying? Absolutely. So you got to ask yourself, why did you get into this business? Yeah, take the opportunity to bleed all you want. Moxley, everybody else on AEW. But if your ass ain't supposed to get in the stands, don't get in the goddamn stands. Only bleed in the middle of the ring where it's contained, because where there's business, they're going to look at risk. Any good investment, they're going to look at what's the risk, what's to make sure that we can minimize any type of damages for liability. And AEW, up until this point, has been highly in the land in the valley of liability. Shit, just with every time I see goddamn freaking Matt Hardy come out, like he looked like liability. They should change his name to liability. When he climb on the top of any high scaffold ladder, that's liability. So at the end of the day, this is a good opportunity for AEW. Again, let's think about the core of what makes them great. It's not so much the blood. Yeah, it's great, but I don't hear a lot of AEW fans saying, oh man, I love AEW, man, because I tell you what, every time Moxley bleeds, I just feel that spirit of pro wrestling. They don't. They like the high-paced wrestling, the more of the ground and pound of what it is. Yes, AEW is riddled with problems, but y'all going to have to get in line. I've talked about this for a long time, TK. If you want to evolve and you want to see your dream become reality, it's time for you to follow the rules.
He's already seen his dream become a reality. That's the problem.
Well, he got to soak it up.
He has no goal in mind in terms of where this goes. He's just happy to have friends. That's it. The guy has friends now. He is a happy motherfucking billionaire.
But here's the thing, though. At the end of the day, you can have friends all you want. But as a human being, and I don't want to be sexist because it applies to women too, but as a successful man or a woman, you got to have some integrity. If you really came in and you were able to be noticed on the radar of WWE, don't do yourself a short and just be like, oh, I had friends, I'm good. No, bro, this is your opportunity to really get in the ring with the big leagues. But
that's his delusion. That is his problem. His problem is that he already has been convinced that he is in the ring in the big leagues, right? And so he's not seeing the bigger picture. And that's a problem. The problem is he's not growing his base. He's not developing the company. So that's something to keep in mind. And one of the reasons that they're not is because, think about this. And this is very interesting. This new rule should substantially play to an advertising audience that is broader, right? Because you are now opening your base up to bigger commercial money for toys and, Skittles and all that kind of crap, right?
Mm-hmm.
But at the same time, the core audience wants more blood and more fucking violence and more of the hard hitting, right?
I don't think a large number of AEW are those people. That's the thing I've
Really?
said for years. Nope, I don't think so.
Really?
I got to strongly disagree with you. I don't think the larger percentage of hardcore AEW fans are the ones that only want the blood. I've heard and correct me if I'm wrong, Sin City, more AEW fans usually take the stance of, okay, the blood was cool, but it don't need to be that much. Just give me wrestling.
Ultimately, just to jump in, I obviously you guys know that I'm the AEW guy here on the show. I don't see anything out of this list that I disagree with. I don't see any problem whatsoever. I mean, every single thing that's bulleted, okay, that's fine. We don't need unprotected chair shots to the front or the back of the head. Buckle bombs, okay, that's fine. We saw what it did to Finn Balor. I mean, it separated his shoulder. We saw what it did with Sting. All this stuff, I have no problem if they did away with it. Even asking for permission to do like thumbtack spots, kendo sticks. Yeah, that I'm fine with that too. Fuck it. Like it, at least they're showing a bit of maturity by this. And you can say whatever you will, but this is a step toward legitimization.
But the question is that this comes in the idea of, by doing that, and if you're not developing your characters, okay, so if you're taking this off,
yeah,
and you're not adding to that audience, right, then what percentage of your already small audience, relatively speaking, right, starts dropping off because they're not seeing the AEW that they love?
Well, John already answered that question. Go ahead and highlight that shit, because that's where I'm at. I'm right with John. John said, this also reminds me of ECW for the national broadcast deal back in the late 90s. They were forced to tone down their product a lot. And we knew that. If you are a hardcore ECW fan, yeah, I liked the extreme part of it. Obviously, it was in the damn title. But I knew once they got to be legitimized, they had to follow rules.
Yeah.
And that's okay. And that's the cool thing. I'll say this real quick. That's what the great thing is. When you are at day one and you get to see the unboundness, just like UFC when it first started, there was a lot of shit that it took. You get to be individualized as that person. You can go back and say, oh man, I remember UFC back when you could eye gouge and bite and shit like that. Same thing for ECW, same thing for AEW. You now are separated from new occasional people.
Here's the problem with that. And the biggest problem with it is exactly this. Remember, ECW was not a national product, right?
True.
So the hardcore fans who love that product got that taken away when it went national. All right, that's your hardcore fans. The rest of the people who didn't really know of ECW but heard of it, possibly, or maybe read about it in a magazine or early internet, right? What did they tune into? A product that ultimately they didn't fucking end up watching. And what happened to ECW? Gone.
Well,
that's the caution here.
I agree, but there's another side of that you may want to look at, you may didn't think about. The people who are real fans, and since he talked about loyalty, I don't know if it was last show, this show, if you're a really true loyal fan and you do like the blood, but you like pro wrestling, right? And yes, AEW is not going to be the same as it was initially. You'll still have opportunities, and even though it's watered down, thumbtack, blood spots, you'll still tune in and watch, because it will bring back that clue
nostalgia.
Of, man, I remember, the nostalgia of when it wasn't like that. And if AEW can learn to pace itself and not bleed every goddamn week, It could be to the benefit of them and their product. Hold that ace card, right, for later, so that way people at home or are popping and getting excited. Wow, man, there's blood. It's just a thought.
Well, hey, just remember, we how many of us went through and loved the Attitude Era, and
I miss those puppies, man. I tell you right now, if WWE don't even remotely had a girl under a cover with Edge for 2 seconds and they both had clown costumes on, it would make me nostalgic back to the time of the rated R segments.
But if done right, though, you see that we have that WWE went through all of those changes, and now we're to a point where we're far away from the Attitude Era, but we love the product. So the question is going to be, what steps are they going to take? And because if they don't take the proper steps, then it could be something that could go wrong.
Yeah, but remember, what's the biggest thing out of that you just said? You love the product now, but what happened for almost 15 years? Oh, this sucks. This isn't the Attitude Era.
But we still watched it. We was bitching and complaining, but
No.
because we loved it.
No. You still watched it.
Oh, you didn't?
No. We're not talking about us.
Okay.
They're talking about like a lot of the fans that went to UFC and dropped WWE.
God.
Yeah.
Well, you already have a company that's struggling to get to build their company.
You're right.
And now you're already starting to play into what killed the momentum of the WWE.
You're right. But here's the thing. Wrestling fans are also evolving. They're realizing when you get big time, shit's going to go away. If I really want the blood and guts, there's tons, especially on the East Coast and down south, of indie events where they bleed and you can get sprayed by the blood if you're in the front seat. So if you love it that much, go and spend half the money that you would have spent to the big time that's watered down. Again, we're starting to learn.
What happens to the big time? It loses the money that
I don't think it's losing a lot of money if it's not encountering these horrible liabilities.
They can't get people to their shows now.
I disagree. I see better prospect with AEW in the past 2 months. It's not just because I started really watching it more. I started really dissecting it.
But Simon, let me tell you. Let me do this. I'm not debating what you're saying, because I talked to a guy that I talked to a guy today that was saying, man, the product is looking really good right now. So no one's debating that. I think what is factual, and if we had someone like Raven on, who will easily drop those numbers, or Travis, I should say, who drop those numbers, those seats of people going to the shows are not where it should be. And
the biggest problem with that is that the Canadian tour hasn't sold well at all. They've been in Canada for the last month or so, and it's not been as it should have been. I am interested to see how things are when they run back here in the States.
John on it again. Hit that shit again. Man, John is hitting 10 for 10 on this shit.
Yeah.
Man, get out my head, bro. Because that's the same thing I was thinking of. Again, if you want to get big time, you got to change shit, and you got to open up for the people cutting the check. I know we talk about on this show about sometimes people who run the check in corporates and how they fuck up shit. But sometimes corporate people can help divert you from and make you be aware of, okay, you've done this for X amount of years and haven't seen a profit return. Let's try something different, a different tactic, and we're going to cut the bill so you can do it.
All right.
More pay for TK. Shit.
I'll let you guys just go a little bit longer, because our next
You can take mine out. Take mine out that I said. This was a hot topic. I was enjoying myself.
The last topic was you're not really too much. But we should just reference it because it was your assignment, Street, and we were just saying, hey, all right. I mean, look, Nikki Cross, she graduated and from the University of Edinburgh with a master's degree. So we'll shout it out, man. I mean, what was your take? I don't want to leave you out. What's your thoughts on that?
No, you know what my biggest take on that whole thing was is again, shout out to Nikki Cross for doing that. It's really big to be able to get a college degree when you have a busy schedule. And their schedule's way busier than mine ever was to try and get my degree. So kudos to them. But I also wanted to take the opportunity, because as I started digging deeper, there's a lot of wrestlers. And you look at, when I mention these names real quick, think of the timeline of where they were in the business. And you're going to start seeing a trend of what new wrestlers are looking to do, not just with degrees, but also marketing themselves to have a better future than some of the wrestlers before them. Drew McIntyre, he has a master's degree in criminology. You got Chad Gable that has a bachelor's degree in, it looks like, hold on, it's coming. Oh, a bachelor's degree in motion graphics and a master's in media design. You got Jack Hager, boy, he's gonna be using his degree real soon. He has a degree in finance. Who knew that? We already know Matt Stryker is the smartest motherfucker in the world, so he appears to be, but he has a bachelor's degree in history and a master's in educational psychology. Daniel Garcia, young boy Daniel Garcia, he got a degree after his car wreck and from Buffalo, bachelor's in communications. Okay, well, he can talk good. Dolph Ziggler, he has a degree in pre-law. Big E, he has a bachelor's degree in communications. Mandy Rose, who knew? Man, she does have something in that brain of hers. I'm just joking. But yeah, she has one in speech pathology, right? Bobby Lashley, he has a degree in recreation and human services management. And our friend, D'Lo Brown, man, he has a degree in finances, and it even said on some of the things I've been saying, like he knew about taxes. My point that I want to bring this out is we've talked about in our show for a long time. When you look at older wrestlers, it's a sad story because they gave everything to entertain us, and what did it leave with them in the end? Right? A lot of them we've heard, and it sucks to hear this. But if you see a lot of those wrestlers I named, D'Lo being the oldest one, they're starting to kind of figure out more, right? How can I use my platform in pro wrestling as an opportunity to gain more? That's all I'm saying. I think it was cool because at the end of the day, and it's not just and you know what? I will address you, American Bam Bam. College degrees can be worthless about as much as anything else. If you have experience, you don't know how to use it, it's going to be worthless. If you have experience, college degree, it's going to be worthless. But they're giving themselves an opportunity. Because I'll be honest with you, Impact don't have the same amount of education I do. But I'm going to tell you right now, Impact and what he knows makes him to be able to work 3-4 jobs. Imagine if he didn't use his motivation to do that. He wouldn't do that. Michaels has expertise in a lot of things too. Sin City Steve. My point that I'm making is you want to use your platform to do more. And Bam Bam, I'm going to bust your bubble. Yes, college degrees are bad investment. However, that's going to be changing pretty soon. So you might be eating your words a little bit.
All right.
His words. He's got a degree in political science and he works in banking. How does that make sense?
hey, but that's not uncommon. I have a master's degree in healthcare administration and I'm not always in the healthcare. You got to pimp what you got. That's all I'm saying. It don't matter if you have a college degree. I'm just saying that Nikki Cross, I don't picture her seeing her down the road doing too much in wrestling, right? I'm not trying to be mean, but I'm saying she took opportunity for when she was in pro wrestling to get her something. That I'm not saying she would have not had that if she didn't have pro wrestling as an opportunity. That's all I'm saying.
Oh, you're good, man. And American Bama, he said he's just busting your bubble. So it's just
I know. I haven't. You know what? It was fun. I want people to bust my bubble because if not, then it's just Matt Michaels doing it.
Yeah. Michaels or Sin City Steve, you want to add anything to it?
I mean, it's always good to have a contingency plan. It's one of those things at this point where it's good to have. I am a 2-time college dropout, so there's that. Nonetheless, if you see value in it, then pursue it. And more often than not, you're going to build up that value yourself because it's all mental. Yeah. So that's realistically what it is.
Gotcha. All right. Let me properly there we go. That is our 3 count, fellas. Good stuff right there. I like that. That the second topic almost gave us some little heat going back and forth. We don't get to get that much. We're usually yes men, but we had a little bit of disagreement here. I like that. Discussion.
Well, Michaels stopped sending money to my account to agree with him. So, I figured I would go ahead and just remind him, hey man, the heat's gonna get bigger the longer you don't pay me. I'm messing.
Nah, it's one of this jackass watches fucking AEW for 3 seconds, and now he's a super fan, so he's gonna fucking say everything.
Oh my god,
man.
super fan. I am a
Hey, man.
realist. I am a
Hey, man.
realist.
Love at first sight. What can we say? You know,
At first sight, yeah.
You know what's funny?
Until he sees fucking Raw the next week and goes, "Oh my god, this was so good."
But at the end of the day, it's a fair account of what works, because at the end of the day, I'll be real with you, man. I give a lot of shit to AEW, man. Sometimes I'm just shaking my head like, what the fuck clown shit am I watching? But they was good this week. We'll see what happens next week.
Listen, I don't know. I don't know how you guys, I don't know how y'all watch damn near 7 days of wrestling. I mean,
VOD, brother. VOD and YouTube.
oh my god. I can only
there
give
an Impact pay-per-view.
Yeah.
There was. We didn't even talk about a new women's champion, right?
listen. We got it.
You're supposed to tell us. Where's Impact on Impact?
We got to get off the air. Okay, we got commercials to play. All right, we can make our money.
You went to look at a dome instead of watching the pay-per-view.
Hey, that's wifey time, man. You know, she gets all the time she wants.
And when she want it. And
That's
when she want it. Look, we should be paying his wife just for the time allotted to us knuckleheads to hang out.
don't
Man.
give her any ideas.
Hey guys,
Wow.
listen. Shout out to everyone who hung out with us. Thanks for the comments. We definitely appreciate that. If you want to join us every Sunday, we do this 8 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, and we welcome you to join the conversation. If you can't, just download the podcast. They're available Monday, Tuesdays, and the Falco Fouls normally releases on Friday. So if you don't know what that's about, jump on it. Again, I have mentioned New Japan is going to be coming to Vegas. So if you happen to be in the Vegas area or just plan to come, October 28th is the show. Tickets going to sell this Tuesday. So it'll be great to check that out. That's all the final thoughts I have. But Simon Street, what would you like to tell the good people out there?
Well, if you live in Las Vegas, it's hot as fucking shit out here. Oh my gosh, man. If you ain't checked your AC, you might want to make sure you check your AC, go ghetto, whatever the hell you got, because man, if that motherfucker go out, it's a problem. But outside of that, if you're living in cooler climates, man, I envy you and your location. If you joined in for us, I hope that our topics entertained you. I hope that our banter really got your blood boiling and having fun. We love it every weekend, man. Please bring the energy. I want to point out John, Bam Bam, I think Charmaine was one that was on for the last couple of shows.
Yep.
This is what we're looking for, y'all. We are looking for people to come on the chat, man. We're not shy. We're not going to always just leave you out. We either will speak what you say in the chat or we're going to pop it up on the screen. We like your opinions. Trust me. We want the smoke. So please bring your opinions. The show is 10 times better when you bring your opinions. So that's all I want to say. Thank y'all and have a great.
All right, no doubt. Sin City Steve.
Hey, thank you guys for hanging out with us tonight. Thank you for liking, sharing, subscribing, doing all the stuff that you guys do. We genuinely appreciate each and every one of you. Special shout out and thank you to all the brave men and women serving this country, whether you're doing it on the lands foreign or domestic. Thank you for doing what you do so we can do what we love to do. And last but not least, repsports.com, reppsports.com. Go there for all your pre-workout, weight loss, and general energy needs. Again, that's repsports.com. Use promo code Vegas at checkout and save yourself 15%.
All right. Matt Michaels.
Good night.
Good night. All righty. Until then, we'll see you. And happy wrestling.